You're sitting there, replaying every conversation, every moment, every sign you might have missed. You're wondering what you could have done differently, how you could have been better, how you could have kept her from walking away. But here's what nobody tells you in those dark 3 a.m. moments when the silence feels deafening. You didn't lose her. She lost a man she'll never replace. I know that sounds impossible right now. When someone leaves, it feels like the ultimate rejection, like proof that you weren't enough. Your mind becomes a broken record, cycling through all your perceived failures, all the ways you think you fell short. But what if I told you that her decision to leave says more about her inability to recognize value than it does about your worth? Think about it. You were there. You showed up. You invested your time, your energy, your heart into building something real. You made yourself vulnerable in ways that most people never will. You loved with intention, with purpose, with the kind of depth that leaves marks on your soul. And she walked away from that. The man who stays up late listening to her problems, who remembers the little things that matter to her, who fights for the relationship when things get difficult, who chooses her again and again even when it's hard. That man doesn't come around often. You were that man. You brought consistency to her chaos, stability to her storms, and genuine love to her life. She had something rare, something most people spend their entire lives searching for, and she let it slip through her fingers. But here's where it gets complicated. Society has conditioned us to believe that when someone leaves, we must have done something wrong. We must not have been attractive enough, successful enough, romantic enough, exciting enough. We internalize their departure as our failure. We twist ourselves into knots trying to figure out how we could have been different, better, more worthy of staying. This is the trap that keeps you stuck. This is the prison of self-blame that prevents you from seeing the truth. Her inability to appreciate what you brought to her life isn't a reflection of your inadequacy. It's a reflection of her inability to recognize genuine value when it's standing right in front of her. Maybe she was looking for something that doesn't exist. Maybe she was chasing a fantasy, an idealized version of love that only exists in movies and social media posts. Maybe she was so focused on what was missing that she couldn't see what was actually there. Maybe she was running from the very intimacy and stability that you offered because it felt too real, too demanding of her growth. Some people are more comfortable with chaos than they are with peace. Some people mistake drama for passion, instability for excitement. They're so used to relationships that hurt that they don't know how to handle one that heals. When you showed up as a safe harbor, she might have mistaken your consistency for boredom, your reliability for predictability. The truth is, she's going to realize what she lost. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. When the excitement of whatever drew her away fades, when the grass she thought was greener turns out to be artificial turf, when she finds herself longing for the kind of love that felt like coming home, that's when the weight of her decision will hit her. She's going to meet other men, and they're not going to love her the way you did. They're not going to show up with the same consistency, the same intentionality, the same depth of care. They're not going to know her coffee order by heart, or remember the stories she tells about her childhood. They're not going to love her flaws as much as her strengths, or see her potential even in her lowest moments. And in those comparisons, she'll understand what she gave up. She'll realize that you weren't just another guy she was dating. You were the man who saw her completely and chose to stay. You were the man who loved her, not despite her imperfections, but because of the beautiful, complex, complete person those imperfections helped create. But here's what you need to understand. Her future realization doesn't define your present worth. You don't need her to come back to validate that you were enough. You don't need her regret to prove your value. You were always enough. You were always worthy of the love you gave. The man who can love deeply, consistently, and authentically doesn't lose anything when someone walks away from that love. He reveals something about their capacity to receive it. Your ability to love fully isn't diminished by her decision to leave. If anything, it's highlighted by the contrast. This is your opportunity to reclaim your narrative. Instead of asking what was wrong with you, ask what was missing in her that she couldn't appreciate what you offered. Instead of wondering how you failed, recognize how you succeeded in being exactly who you are in a world that often rewards pretense over authenticity. The right person won't just tolerate your love, they'll treasure it. They won't see your consistency as boring. They'll see it as the foundation of something beautiful. They won't run from your depth, they'll dive in and discover their own. They won't question whether you're enough, they'll wonder how they got so lucky. She lost a man who would have built a life with her, who would have weathered storms beside her, who would have celebrated her victories and held her through defeats. She lost a man who saw her as more than temporary entertainment, more than a casual connection, more than a convenient option. You didn't lose her. You lost someone who wasn't capable of keeping you. And that's not a loss. That's liberation from investing in someone who couldn't match your energy, your commitment, your vision for what love could be. The space she left isn't empty. It's available. Available for someone who recognizes quality when they see it, who appreciates consistency over chaos, who values depth over superficial excitement. Someone who won't just accept your love, but will honor it, nurture it, and return it with the same intensity you've always been capable of giving. So stop diminishing yourself to make sense of her departure. Stop rewriting your story to cast yourself as the villain. You loved with integrity, showed up with purpose, and offered something real in a world full of artificial connections. She'll spend years trying to replace what she walked away from, only to discover that men like you aren't replaceable. You're rare, you're valuable, and you're worthy of someone who recognizes that from day one, not someone who realizes it only after you're gone.